Namaste, everybody.
Namaste.
Thanks for being here. Let's begin on our backs this evening. It's cold. Monday night. It's Monday night, and we got a snowstorm and some ice, and everybody came in all bundled up. Get the hats out. So, lying on your back, you can take a full body stretch a couple times if you need to. I know the kids here in the studio have already been laying out and stretching and stuff. So if you're just now getting to that position, go ahead and I'll give you some time to do that. And then let's work with Ujjayi breaths this evening because it's warming for the body and cooling and calming for the mind. So mostly we're gonna try to use it to warm the body. So we'll do a few rounds here in the beginning, and then I'm gonna suggest that you try to use it for the rest of the practice, but you certainly don't have to. If you find that it is too heating or warming for your body, then you can just go to your normal, relaxed, open throat, natural breath. So the Ujjayi breathing, there is a partial closing in the throat. Around the epiglottis is the anatomical term, but you don't need to remember that or anything. And you don't necessarily need to make sure that it's loud. It's more just so you hear it. But I know if you don't use it a lot, that sometimes for beginners, it might be a little bit louder. But just keep in mind that the restriction is slight, okay? So the way that I work with it to help me not get too restrictive through my throat, so I don't have to forcefully push and pull air, is to rest the tip of my tongue on the top row, the back of the top row of my teeth where it meets the gum line, and then relax the middle and back part of my tongue down. And then as you breathe in and out, imagine that you're making an AH sound, like you're fogging up a pair of glasses to go and then wipe them and clean them off. So inhale AH, ah, and exhale AH, ah, like again, like you're fogging up the glasses. And if you need to part the lips and open the mouth to do this at first, to try to get that ha sound and just that slight, gentle restriction or closing, you can do that. And then when you feel like you've got it, just close the lips, but keep the teeth parted and the tip of the tongue relaxing there on the top back row of the teeth. On the back of the top row of the teeth. There, I said that the way I wanted to. So you'll definitely hear it. Kind of sounds like the ocean inside of your ear. Maybe the person next to you might hear it, but don't think that like the whole house or the whole studio needs to hear you. That might be a little too forceful. And that could be kind of agitating depending on where your nervous system is currently. So take 3 more rounds here because I want you to get a good chance to kind of gauge for yourself the effect that this is having for you. And maybe you're not sure right now, and maybe later you notice like, okay, I'm warm enough. You could just go with your normal breathing. You can always switch over. So if you decided to continue with your Ujjayi breath, continue doing that. And on the inhale, bring your right knee toward your chest and just hold on to it wherever it's comfortable. And you can circle in the knee or the toes or the ankle and add any little individual expressions in each pose by just adding simple movements like this. The joints can use all the extra help kind of promoting joint fluid to lubricate them when we're getting into this dryness, coldness, the brittleness. And then switch sides, allowing the breath to continue to flow. Remembering there is a slight pause between the inhale and the exhale, and you can kind of settle in and enjoy that pause, but just continue to let the breath flow in as it's ready to. Especially in the transitions, you might be aware that there's a tendency in the transitions to kind of like hold the breath. So be aware of that. There might be a slight pause, but don't want to restrict the breath in terms of holding. And so now both knees into the chest, and you again can rock side to side or make circles. Breath flowing fully. And then plant one foot at a time. So the knees are bent, they're hip width apart with the feet as close to the hip bones as you can comfortably get. Relax the arms at the sides and then bend the elbows at 90 degrees so you look like you have robot arms on the floor. Spread the fingers and press the backs of the arms and the elbows toward the floor. Feel the middle of the shoulder blades relax down to the mat. Lift and spread the toes just gently, feeling the four corners of the feet. And then inhale, press your hips up by pushing through the backs of the arms and the feet. And exhale, lower. Repeat that 4 more times with your breath. So there's no rush. We're really syncing the movement to our breath. So it's very slow because the range here is probably not very high on these first few bridges. So it makes for kind of slow movement. And then lowering the hips down. Next time, inhale, raise the hips and just hold there. Continue to breathe as you hold. Ground through the feet and the backs of the arms. Feel as though you're holding a block between your knees. So you stay activated in the inner thighs as well. One more breath. And then slowly lower your hips down. Pull both knees towards your chest. So inhale, you can put your hands on your knees or your calves. And then inhale, release the knees forward over the hips. And then exhale, pull them in and tuck the chin to the chest, lifting the head up and bringing the head towards the knees. Then inhale, release back, head down, knees forward. Exhale, squeeze and curl into that ball, bringing the chin up. One more time, inhale, releasing back. And then exhale, curling, lifting the head up, chin toward the chest. And then inhale, releasing back. Good. So come up to a seat. You can either roll to your right side and press up, or you can rock and roll forward to a seat. Start in a seated position. If you want to sit on something like a bolster like I am, or blanket to prop your hips, a rolled up blanket or folded. And find Sukhasana or crisscross applesauce. And sit up nice and tall, connect to the breath again. Realize that transition takes a little bit longer, so come back to your Ujjayi breath or your natural breath. Gaze can be dropped, or if you're comfortable, you can close the eyes. And then bring your hands to your heart in prayer. Press the hands together toward each other with equal effort from the left and right sides. And just kind of feel yourself connecting to that central channel of the body. Runs along the spinal column in the center of the body. It's kind of like a candle wick that runs through and through. And then just take a couple breaths here, sitting tall. Good. And then interlace the fingers. Take the hands behind the head at the base of the neck. Draw the elbows back. Sit up nice and tall. Try to relax the weight of the head into your hands as much as you can so that you're not feeling tension in the back of the neck and you're not pushing the head forward. And inhale here in the center, and then exhale, just side bend to the right. So hug the right rib cage into the body. Inhale, sit back up tall in the middle. Exhale, side bend left. Again, try to relax the head back, move in and out with your breath, inhaling at the middle, and exhale, alternating side bends. Again, the range is probably not very big because we're not releasing our hand down. And so the movement's probably pretty slow to keep it synced with the length and duration of the in and out breaths. One more time right, and then one more time to the left, and we'll meet back in the center. Inhaling that last time, and then exhale, slowly release the hands down. Now let the fingertips graze the floor next to your hips. Let your right ear relax over to the right shoulder. You don't have to forcefully push it, just where you feel the natural end feel. Just let gravity and your breath continue to help release you a little deeper into that stretch. And gently bring the gaze up to center. Slowly left ear to left shoulder. When you feel the natural end feel, don't force, just hold and breathe. And then bring the gaze up to center. Switch the cross of the legs. Bring the arms to cactus and face the palms toward each other or toward your ears. Elbows are at shoulder height. You might need to do a visual check if your proprioception doesn't feel quite confident today. So inhale here, and then exhale at the lower rib cage. Turn to the right. Rotate or twist to the right, like you're taking your chest over your right knee. Take an inhale to lengthen again. And exhale, rotate a little deeper if you can. You can let the left hip come in front of the right one. And rotate a little deeper. Inhale, lengthen again. And then exhale, take your gaze to that right hand, right to the center of the palm. And then lower your hands for support now. One behind, one on that right knee or bolster. I'm kind of high from the ground right now, so I'm going to put it on the bolster. And take one more breath here. And then come back to center. Take a breath. Ujjayi breath or otherwise. Good. Cactus arms, elbows, shoulder height, palms facing the ears. Inhale to lengthen and exhale from the lower rib cage. Rotate to the left. Inhale to lengthen again. Exhale. Rotate a little deeper. You can let the right hip come in front of the left one now if you want to twist a little deeper. And then inhale to lengthen and exhale the gaze now. So the upper spine rotating a little deeper. And then release the hands just to help you continue to sit up nice and tall. Take one more breath. Good. Inhale back to the center. Let's come to hands and knees. A blanket under your knees if you want. And find your foundation. Kind of rock side to side until you feel like knees are under the hips, wrists are under the shoulders. Grounding gently in those 4 points. And then make some hip circles clockwise. Feel the flow of the breath. Not rushing or restricting, other than that slight AH sound with the Ujjayi breath. And then counterclockwise. Coming back to center. Good. Step your right foot forward between your hands. So if you have blocks, low lunge is a good time to incorporate blocks just to give you a little bit more space. So you can keep yourself up a little bit higher and still have the hands in contact with something. So hands either framing the foot on the ground or on the blocks. And you have, the great thing too is you have 3 options. So you don't have to necessarily come up as high as I do, but you want to find that space that you need to draw the heart forward and keep the spine long so that you don't feel like you're rounding in the upper spine, and you get a nice deep stretch through the back hip flexor. And you can sink down into this front hip by letting the front right sit bone drop toward the floor. Maybe even draw that right hip crease back to keep the hips side by side, and you can deepen the stretch that way just by keeping the hips level. Take one more breath here. And let's switch sides. We'll just right foot back, left foot forward. Nice and easy. We're holding here for a few breaths. So just let your breath guide you deeper into the stretch. As soon as you feel the first stretch, that first edge, you just hold. And then each exhale can kind of maybe guide you toward the next edge of the stretch. Good. And then step the left foot back. We'll switch back to the right foot forward, and then hands to the thighs to press all the way up, upright. Leave your right hand on your right thigh. Let your left arm relax at the side. And we'll inhale, sweep the arm up. You can even take it back a little bit to deepen the back bend, and then exhale, sweep it down. 2 more times. Inhale, and exhale. Inhale up, and exhale. And this time, let's add a rotation. So bring the arm up at shoulder height, thumb facing up, fingers spread. Take an inhale to lengthen, and then exhale, bend that elbow like you're pulling back on a bow and open, an open twist. And you can have this hand here. It can feel if this front knee is like following you into the twist, and you can gauge that it's still pointing straight up at the ceiling. Good. Take an inhale to lengthen. And exhale, you can let the right hip come forward a little bit, and this left one draw back. And you can feel a little bit more rotation in the lower spine. If you really want to challenge your stability, on the next exhale, you can take your gaze over that back elbow. Reach the hand back now. Take one more breath. Good, then bend the elbow, turn back to center, nice and slow, and we'll switch sides. Left foot forward, hands to the thigh to help you press up. Find your center here, good. Right arm relaxes at the side, left hand remains on the thigh. And inhale, sweep the arm up. Exhale, sweep it down. 2 more times with your breath. Smooth, steady flow of the breath. The movement does not dictate the breath. Good. The breath dictates the pace and the quality of the movement. Then bring the right arm shoulder height, thumb up. Take an inhale to lengthen, and then exhale, pull back on that bow. So bend into the elbow, open up. Again, this hand is here to help you keep this knee pointing up. Take an inhale to lengthen again, and exhale. You can even let the right hip draw back and let the left one come forward a little bit. And I'm using my hand to help keep this open because I like the stretch that it's giving me. It's also keeping my knees stable. Then if you want extra challenge in the stability, next exhale, gaze goes over the back right shoulder and elbow, and you can extend the arm even. Those are just extra options. Oh, this side's a little harder for me. I'm like wavering. I feel like the wind's gonna blow me over. Good. Then bend the elbow slowly back to center so it doesn't feel unsteady. Hands down, step back, and let's sit back into child's pose. So hips either go all the way back and forehead lowers, or arms can come forward, hips stay over the knees, and forehead lowers. Nice, complete ujjayi breaths or natural breath. Either way, you should feel the ribs naturally expanding and then coming back into the midline as the lungs completely fill and empty. Good, come back up. Step the right foot forward again into low lunge. And let's take a closed twist now. So we can still take the right hand to the right hip this time, and the left arm at shoulder height, thumb up. Good, then bend the elbow 90 degrees. Inhale to lengthen, and exhale, rotate at the rib cage first, to the right or toward that front knee. Good. Inhale to lengthen again. Exhale, pull the right hip back and let the left hip come forward a little bit. So it kind of feels like now your upper and inner thighs are squeezing closer together. Good. And then you can rest this left hand on that knee now to keep it from floating outward. And instead, you're just drawing this right hip crease straight back. And if you want extra challenge, you extend this right arm back and you can take the gaze. This is my hard side. And it's even harder with the closed twist. So keep inhaling, lengthening, and exhaling, deepening or just hugging everything, kind of feeling everything hug into that midline, that central channel. Very nice. Slowly come back to center and switch sides. You can place your hands down or you can just go to high knees and then switch. So left foot is forward now. And coming up, take your left hand to your left hip, right arm at shoulder height, thumb up and then bend the elbow. And then inhale to lengthen. And exhale, start from the rib cage, just turning toward that front leg. Inhale to lengthen again. And exhale, pull this left hip crease back. Let the right hip flexor come forward a little bit. Now the pelvic bowl is kind of coming around. And then again, right hand to the knee, extra stability, little added mental insurance there. And then reach the left arm back. And then third option, taking the gaze. Okay, this side is just as hard on the closed twist for me, so I no longer have an easy side. But it's okay, I'm just breathing, hugging, feeling a little bit of the unsteadiness, but lift and spread those toes. There you go, ground that big toe pad, Kim. Not the big toe, like the ball of the foot toe pad. There you go. And then slowly back to center. Take your gaze slowly. And hands come down, sit back in child's pose. And feel how good it feels to stretch through the spine after those twists and this I know I'm getting hot too. The Ujjayi breath is warming me. The twists are warming me. It's all good, right? I mean, we could drink warm drinks too, but that only has doesn't have as many benefits of breathing and doing yoga poses to get all those extra benefits, right? Plus, I always have to put cream in mine, and I just can't be drinking cream all day like that. All day, every day. One more breath here. And then let's rise up to hands and knees. We'll take an inhale and we'll exhale back to our Adho Mukha Svanasana, down dog. You can wiggle into this one. Try to just relax the shoulders away from the ears. So when you feel them kind of vertically coming up into the ears, start by just at the tops around the base of the neck to relax. And then feel the shoulder blades and the muscles kind of in between and at the bottom of the shoulder blades. Pull them straight down toward the seat. It's really up toward the seat in this one because you're in inversion, but draw them up toward the seat. So it doesn't feel necessarily like a retraction or a pinching of the shoulder blades, just an activation onto the rib cage, hugging in and kind of even broadening. One more breath. Yay, more hot people are taking the extra layers off. And then take your feet mat width apart and bend your knees. And inhale, baby step your hands back to your feet. And then stay in this low squat. Lift the gaze, take the elbows one at a time to the thighs. Elongate through the spine so you can relax here, lengthen through the crown of the head. Just kind of hold here and feel the muscles hugging into the body as you breathe. Ujjayi breath. So now we're even going to work these big muscles in the legs, and that's also going to warm the body pretty quickly. One more breath. Then one hand at a time to the thighs, and inhale, rise up all the way to standing. Keep your feet at this mat width distance. I'm going to step mine in just a little bit because they're kind of actually off my mat a little bit. And we'll go through a modified staff of Brahman, a little flow sequence. So we'll come back to the knees bent And the hip creases, kind of sit them back or reach them back to the short edge of the mat behind you. And then you sort of half hinge forward at the hips. So your upper body is this little angle here. And then bring your hands to your heart in prayer. So this is like our starting and ending position. Take a breath here. Notice if you're gripping in the toes. Notice if the shoulders are creeping to the ears and try to relax them. And then inhale, straighten the legs, straighten the arms overhead. And then exhale, bring the arms to T and hinge forward with bent knees. That's kind of one long exhale motion there. Inhale, reach the arms overhead. And then exhale, release the hands to the thighs. Good. And then inhale, come all the way up to standing, sweep the arms up overhead. And then exhale, back to that starting position, knees slightly bent, hips back, pitch forward just a bit, slight hinge at the hips. We'll do that 2 more times. So inhale, reach up, straighten the legs. Exhale, arms to T and hinge forward with bent knees, torso parallel to the floor. Inhale, reach the arms overhead, shoulders relaxed. Exhale, hands come to the thighs and deepen that hinging forward back in that low squat. And then inhale all the way to standing, sweep the arms up overhead. Exhale, back to our starting position, knees bent, hinge slightly forward. Good, one more time. Inhale, reaching up, straightening. Exhale, arms to T, hinge at the hips, bend in the knees. Inhale, arms overhead, challenging our core and back. Exhale, hands to the thighs, deepen that hinge in the hips, not low squat again. Inhale all the way to standing, circle sweep the arms up. Exhale, starting position, knees bent, half hinge. Take one more breath here. Notice the feet. There we go, good. Inhale to standing. Exhale, relax the arms, bring the feet, toes, touch. So insides of the feet and the knees are touching. Arms relax to the sides. Notice if you're gripping in the toes. Try to stay grounded evenly over the 4 corners of your feet, even here with them very close together. Ujjayi breath or otherwise, and just kind of take a few breaths here to connect again to that central channel of the body. Good. Let's step toward the front of our mat if you're not already there. We're not here in the studio, but maybe you guys at home were. We were kind of toward the back of our mat from our down dog. So step your right foot back about 3 or 4 feet and railroad width stance. So not a tightrope, but like you're standing on railroad tracks. Whoa. Again, blocks at the front are handy for this one. Just there, ready, framing the foot. So hands on the hips, and notice if when you step back, this right hip has kind of opened a little bit, and try to square the hips. So bring this right hip forward, draw this left one back. If that means you have to adjust the stance a little bit, shorten it or lengthen it, you can do that then once the hips are square. And then inhale to lengthen and exhale, hinge forward at that front hip. Again, keeping the hips square. Front one's drawing back, the back one's pressing forward, and then release your hand. If they naturally get to the floor, great. Otherwise, use the blocks. Start with the tall side. You can always flip to a lower side. Good. Inhale, lengthen through the crown of the head. Relax the shoulders out of the ears. And exhale, if you can deepen the fold a little bit at the hip crease, right? Hip flexion. Then at the very end here, if the shoulders remain out of the ears, you can allow the head to hang if it's okay with the neck. A little bit of rounding in the upper spine as long as the shoulder blades are pressing laterally away from the spine instead of up into the ears. This is a pretty deep hamstring stretch, so try to keep your knee as straight as you can. But if you're getting a hamstring stretch with it bent, that's fine too. Good. When you come up, I want you to look up and then lift the chest and inhale, press through the feet to stand. Exhale, step forward. Feet together, knees touch, feet and knees touch. Notice that you're centered over the feet. Take a couple breaths. Connect to that midline. And then we'll step our left foot back, our right foot forward. Railroad width. I got to move my blocks so they're actually where I can reach them. Hands to the hips and maybe the fingers on those hip bones to help you gauge. Right hip is pulling back. Left one's coming forward. So it's like two headlights pointing forward. And then maybe adjust, like I have to adjust my heel a little bit, maybe shorten or lengthen depending on the length of your legs. And then inhale here and exhale, hinge forward at the hip. So start with hip flexion, decreasing this angle of this crease on the right hip like a Pac-Man, closing together. Then release the hands just where they naturally reach. Once you're in your deepest hip flexion, and then relax the shoulders out of the ears, let the head hang, and you can add just a little bit of spinal flexion in the upper spine. I'm going to shorten my stance even now that I'm here because I have really tight hamstrings or something. I don't know. Maybe my hips are just tight today. Feel a little tighter. Take one more breath. And then inhale, lift the gaze first, lift the chest, rise up from the feet. Exhale, step back forward, feet together, knees touch. One more breath. Then we'll step our right foot back again. I'm actually going to turn and face the long edge. Let's do long edge of the mat for this one because it is a long edge of the mat one. Turn and face that so you can see me, and then legs leg length apart. And then everybody turn your feet to the right. Good. Bend in that front knee, like a warrior stance. Yeah. And adjust your feet as you need to. Closer together, longer. Extend the arms. Good. So let's reach past the front knee, then lower the elbow to the front thigh. I like my palm up. It just helps keep my shoulder open a little bit more. My side body's long. And then inhale, reach the arm, top arm overhead, and look down at the hand. Exhale, reach it up in line with the shoulder, look up and pull it back like you're kind of opening your rib cage. So even reach it back behind you. Inhale, arm overhead, look down. Exhale, reach it up and draw it back. One more, inhale. Yeah, it's like you're using the arm to leverage you more into that rotation here in the top of the rib cage, spiraling it up to the ceiling, and then bring the hand down to the hip, rise up from the feet, turn back to facing the long edge of the mat, adjust the stance. My sock's got to come off now. I'm getting too slippery. And then everybody turn your feet to your left. Good, bend the knee. Adjust the stance if you need. Arms extend, reach past that front knee, let the knee shifting and lower the elbow, palm facing up. Extend, inhale, reach the arm overhead, look down. Exhale, reach it up, look forward, and even follow with the gaze all the way up, back and up. Inhale, reaching overhead, look down. Exhale, reach it up and pull back. Reach back, one more. Inhale, and then exhale. Good, bring the hand to the hip. Rise up from the feet. Turn the toes, face the front, long edge. Adjust the stance. Take a breath. Yeah, my socks were I was just sliding inside of my socks anyway. So it's like, now they're not even staying on my feet, right? I'm just gonna take them off. Okay, so let's go back to the front edge of our mat. Let's step our left foot back in that short Parsvottanasana, short wide stance. Remember, pull the front hip back. Drop the front one forward so the hips feel like two level headlights. Yeah? Hands to the hips and inhale, lengthen. Exhale, hinge forward. Don't go as deep into the forward fold this time. I want you to stay nice and long through the spine, okay? Grab your block if you have one on the inside of your front foot with the left hand. If you don't, just gently rest the hand on the shin. I'm going to use a block. And then inhale, lengthen again. Exhale, rib cage rotating to the right or toward that front leg. Start with the rib cage coming around first. Good. Then if you want to reach the arm up, you can. And inhale, draw that front hip back, the right one, and let the left one come forward. Again, you can make adjustments in the feet within the pose. I might just take a little half step forward here because that lets me bring my hips around. And I just want to feel a little bit deeper there, but you don't have to do that. And then the extra challenge is, again, taking the gaze up toward the hand. One more breath. Then release the hand to the hip. Rotate back to center, nice tall spine. Inhale, rise from the feet to standing. And exhale, step the back foot forward. So Parivrtta Trikonasana, revolved triangle. That's a big twist. Everybody should be warm at this point if you weren't before. We're going to switch sides, right foot back. No, sorry. Left. Is it right foot back? Left foot forward. Okay, cool. Right foot back, short, wide stance. Oh my gosh, so much left, right, and we're twisting. It's getting super confusing. Hip bones pointing forward, so square the hips. Inhale to lengthen and exhale, hinge forward. Not rounding in this variation, keeping a nice long spine. Release the right hand to the block on the inside of the foot or to the shin. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, rib cage starts to rotate toward the front leg. Yeah, and see my gaze is just kind of following. Just keeping the neck in line with my spine right now. Then if you want, reach the top arm up. Kind of helps you to leverage a little bit. You can also draw the front hip back and let the back one come forward. So I'm even going to shorten my stance because my back heel starts to come up. And I don't like not feeling grounded in my feet. And then again, you can take the gaze. If you can breathe there, you can be there. Good, hand to the hip. Turn back to center, nice tall spine. Inhale, rise from the feet. Exhale, step back to Tadasana with the feet and knees touching. Connect to that central channel. Good. And that was like quite a bit of work standing. So let's do just like a balance pose here on the floor. We'll do Navasana tonight, boat, or Ardha Navasana, half boat. So we'll bring our balance down. So that was a lot of work. So start with your feet in front of you, knees bent, and they don't have to be like, you can see my feet are pretty far out here. Whatever angle allows you to sit up nice and tall, right? So if I go like real tight in here, then I'm not going to be able to like sustain it without holding on to my legs. But that's always an option. But if you want to work a little bit more in the upper, we're going to add, okay? So play with that too. If you get into the pose and you feel like you need to put the feet down and scoot them farther away from the body or closer to the body, you can always do that. So start with the hands at the backs of the thighs. It helps you sit up nice and tall. Good. Pay attention to the hip flexors too. If they're kind of overworking, it might mean that your core isn't firing as much as you want it to. Yeah, good. So lean back behind the sits bones, just back behind the sits bones a little bit, and then raise one leg up at a time, just Ardha Navasana. You can press the back to the thighs and the hands toward each other, right? And that again helps you. Yeah, and it might help your hip flexors relax too. Good. I know. Now for our extra overachievers, arms out. I like to do them a little bit wider out here. I'm not feeling it tonight. My hip flexors are really overfiring, so I'm gonna go back. Very good. Lower the feet, come forward. Cross-legged Sukhasana. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, hinge forward. Release the hands. Good. Inhale, half spinal lift, so just come up part way. Exhale, fold again. One more time. Inhale, half spinal lift, so long spine. Exhale, fold. Let the head hang as long as the shoulders relax away from the ears. Take one more breath here. Then come up. You can baby step the hands back to upright, legs out in front. Draw the toes up. Relax back behind the sits bones or rock back just behind the sits bones. Start to take the feet away and extend or lift. You can stay here. You can straighten the legs and keep the hands behind and see how you do. Woo, you kind of got to do the Barbie feet in this one though. Like in the bent knee, it's like the toes are drawing back. This one, it's like Barbie feet. And I'm shaking too much. I'm not going to keep doing that. Lift the chest, one more breath. Good. Lower the feet nice and slow. Cross the legs, but switch the cross of your legs. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, hinge forward. Good. Inhale, half spinal lift. Exhale, fold. One more time. Inhale, half spinal lift. Exhale, fold, and release into that fold. Again, shoulders relax and the chin can come toward the chest. As long as that doesn't aggravate the neck. You good?
I am. It's just that.
That's pushing right there.
Yeah.
So baby said that you can always just like do this and then do this.
It's cramped up.
Is that still too much?
Sometimes it is cramped and gets it well, it's caught, that little spot.
Okay.
It's no better.
Let's bring everybody come up, uncross the legs, scoot the hips forward, lay back. Was that happening in Navasana too? In boat? Where you just,
Well, just not the beginning, but yeah.
yeah.
Um,
So when that happens and we're doing that stuff, you just come back into this with the knees wide and do like a tuck. And yeah, if it was like, and then Ardha Navasana, I didn't notice that it was happening when we were doing this. I saw you up, but you could just do this, right? And just work with staying up really tall and getting plenty of work. Sorry, I did not notice that was happening in boat pose. So pull your knees into your chest and just kind of rock side to side. And for any reason, if you want to take the knees to the outside of the body, you can, or you can just pull them directly straight in. And then if you want to come into happy baby, knees will go to the outside of the body if you're not already there. And you can grab the 2 fingers around the big toe. You can grab the pinky sides of the feet. Still with that smooth, steady Ujjayi breath if you're still working with it, or just your natural breath, inhaling and exhaling completely. And releasing back into just the Apanasana or the double knee tuck and rocking side to side. I'm going to turn off the bright fluorescence for the people here in the room. And I'm going to, if you have a bolster, whether you're at home or here in the studio, turn it where the zipper side is up and place it up above where your head is going to go. And I'm just going to suggest, this is just such a simple, easy thing to add weight in your Shavasana. Take this short edge of the bolster and just place it on the forehead. Once you're settled into your Shavasana, then you can just reach up, grab it, and set it down. And just that gentle pressure can really help to counter the energetics of all the twists that we just did. It really helps kind of ground that energy. The twists kind of help you release a lot of tension. So you feel like all that tension has left the body, and then you can do that simple little technique there with the weight and Oh, really promote now that relaxing feeling. So you guys get settled in. I'm gonna turn off one more light here in the studio. It's over on this other end of the room. And if you have towels, you can place over your eyes too to put yourself in the dark. And let go of the ujjayi breathing if you're still working with it. Just kind of come into a smooth, natural cadence with the breath. As we become still, the breath is going to naturally become more still. So we're not working with anything in particular, the mechanics of the breath in any specific way. Just kind of drop your awareness into the natural stillness of the breath, but it's still kind of there. It's more like the energetics. And you can feel just like a really gentle kind of washing over you, or like the body is drawing in nourishment, warmth, light, if you like visual sort of things. And then it's just kind of naturally then releasing and letting go with each passing exhale. So just by paying attention to that, you can have an experience of the prana, of your energetic or subtle body, and the intelligence that resides within, and how it sort of operates. We were talking last week on the Wednesday night meditation using some metaphors of, it's really kind of like a technology that we have that resides within us, and it's like a really sophisticated technology. But at the same time, when you kind of tune into it, it's really simple and easy to connect to if we just take the time and we get really, really still and we just pay attention on purpose. And then you just notice the effects that it has. Just give yourself a few more moments paying attention on purpose, observing, stepping into that witness state, or even kind of slipping back into it. Watching yourself objectively, even kind of watching the thoughts float by. And then dropping even deeper back, becoming aware of the one who is doing the watching. And then dropping down into your heart space at the center of your chest, as though you're gazing out on yourself, on this bigger self that resides within you, this conscious experience where you feel connected to a self that is limitless. There's an expansive quality. And you can go here anytime you need to. You can take refuge here. Nityananda says the heart is the hub of all holy places. Go there and roam in it. Gradually begin to deepen your in-breath and let it out long and slow. Begin to wiggle your fingers and toes. Then make small circles in the wrists and the ankles, gently reawakening the body. So as you're ready, you can bend one knee at a time and plant your feet, feeling the earth underneath the soles of your feet. Coming back into the space just enough to be aware of your body and roll to your right side as you're ready. Enjoy a couple moments here. It kind of feels like you're giving yourself like a little side lying hug. And press up to a comfortable seat on the floor. Gaze dropped or eyes closed. If you'd like joining me with your hands in your heart, your hands in prayer at your heart, Anjali Mudra, bowing the head, taking the gaze to the heart space again, feeling that flowing peace and a sense of gratitude for the opportunity to lend your energy to the group, also to collect and gather energy and nourishment for yourselves. May all beings know peace. May all beings everywhere be healed. May all beings know the beauty of their own true nature. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thanks for showing up. So stay warm, be safe. Have a beautiful evening. Thank you.